Good evening, Monarch fans, and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk with Rags here in Season 3, Episode 64. But when we have a Monarch alum on, it's also Monarch Mondays here on Sports Talk with Rags. And currently, the Monarch alum, Drew Williamson, is currently the FAU assistant coach. Drew, how are you doing today?
Doing awesome, Mark. Doing awesome. Glad you were able to have me on today.
Yes, well, hey, let's start at the beginning. I mean, what was it like here going to high school there in Burlington, North Carolina, and where your recruiting process here with playing basketball at the next level?
So I'll tell you, Mark. I played two sports. I played football and basketball. Probably a little better in football.
Okay.
So I was highly recruited in football. I actually got a scholarship offer to Wake Forest
Okay.
my sophomore year, and that was all I knew. And I played my next season of high school basketball, and I ran into a guy named Bob Smith, who he helped a lot of our local players in our area in North Carolina reach out to other colleges. So he saw me play basketball one night and asked me did I have any interest. And I was kind of in 10th grade and just, not really understanding what I wanted to do next in the recruiting process. I was just playing sports, having fun.
Right.
And, he ended up having like 3 or 4 different colleges come to the next game. And from there, like my basketball recruitment started to pick up a little bit, not quite as much as the football recruitment did. But from there, I kind of thought about like, I had to start thinking like, what do I want to do? Is it football or is it basketball?
Yeah.
And from there, I played out my sophomore year, and then I finally just kind of started thinking like, basketball is where my heart is.
Mhm.
I love football, but I think my heart's in basketball. So kind of started taking it more serious. I changed AAU teams. So I played the next summer with a team out of Winston-Salem, Carolina Hornets,
Okay.
and kind of took off from there. But just kind of at that moment, just being recruited. Old Dominion was actually one of my first offers.
Okay.
Coach Taylor, I think that they were playing UNC Wilmington, and he stopped by Cummins High School for our practice.
Okay.
And he stopped by, offered a scholarship, and that kind of stuck with me. And at the time, I wasn't ready to commit anywhere. Just wanted to kind of play out my senior year, and as the senior year finished up, I ended up getting an opportunity at the University of North Carolina, which growing up in where I'm from, it's like ACC Nation. It's NC State, Duke, North Carolina. There are 3 schools that are right there, and every kid's dream from where I'm from is to, North Carolina or Duke,
Right.
and so I took the opportunity, and so I had to call a lot of coaches and say I'm gonna take this walk-on opportunity at the University of North Carolina, and took that opportunity, and maybe a month later, they had a coaching change at North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So with the coaching change come a lot of not knowing what was next for me. And I met with Coach Roy Williams and his staff, and their plans were a little different than what Matt Doherty's staff were for me. And so from that moment on, me and my high school coach sat down and we just tried to map out who all offered and kind of look back at all the opportunities. And Old Dominion was the first one. And we reached out to Coach Corrigan, and he said, would you be interested in taking a visit? And so that weekend I came up to visit, and things went great at the visit. And I got back on Monday and made the decision, wanted to kind of be a Monarch.
Yeah. Well, hey, I know that Monarch Nation was glad to have you, and when you came in and stepped foot on campus, I mean, it was kind of like here the men's program was just on their way up here with playing in the TED, having home court advantage, and just from your freshman season there in 2005 is when the program started having great success there in the CAA under Coach Taylor's leadership.
Yeah, it was that was one of the things that intrigued me the most. They had already signed 4 freshmen.
Right.
Valdez Vasilius, Arnold Dahi, Brian Henderson, and Abdul Adande had just signed. And they had 4 or freshmen going into their sophomore year with,
Right.
with Isaiah and Alex and John Morris and those guys. So the team was young. So
Yeah.
like coming in, you can kind of see that they were trying to build something with our group, and that intrigued me more than anything. And of course, the new arena sold me, and the apartments. There was a lot of different things. Just the Virginia Beach area.
Yeah.
So a lot of those things were very very important. But honestly, I think we had a solid first year from our freshman season,
Hmm.
and then that spring, I think really turned the corner for us because we came in after the season. Coach Taylor had his end of the season meeting, and we were all young, so we kind of thought like now it's like spring break time for our team. And Coach was like, this was like a Friday. He was like, Monday, I'll see y'all on the track for a 2 mile. Uh, and I mean, they really put it on us in that spring. But you could see the camaraderie and the togetherness start to come together right then. And I really believe our season started that spring, and our we were a group. We bonded through those tough times and the hot summer. But it made us who we were. And in 2005, I think we just kind of took off. We felt confident that we had a good enough team to compete with anybody. And then you start winning a few games, and now you're really starting to believe that this is a really tough group to beat. And we really just bonded and took it from there. And I think we ended up playing VCU in the
Yeah.
conference championship in Richmond, which was a great scene to be playing them in Richmond. If I'm not mistaken, I think the game went to overtime.
Yeah.
So it was a memorable one too.
Right. Right. And the thing is, my wife Elizabeth. I mean, her and I, we got season tickets here starting at that year. One of the reasons was our niece Samantha on her side was currently a student, there at Old Dominion. So and back in those days, I mean, you guys had the home court advantage, and it was nothing like taking a weekend there for the CAA tournament, 64 West, and nothing like being at the Richmond Coliseum, seeing you guys cut the nets down.
That was awesome because we had up until that point we had struggled against VCU.
Right.
I think it was like maybe like 9 games straight, and then we played them at their place first that season. They beat us again, and then we finally beat them at the TED
Right.
that year. And so we kind of set up for a really good battle in Richmond that night. And I think it was one of the most memorable games that I've been a part of.
Right. Yes, and and the place, there on campus have a selection Sunday party. You guys did get into the tournament, but lost a tough one there to Michigan State. But with having Alex and Isaiah's class, then your class, and then having 4 freshmen there in 2005. I mean, here the nucleus was coming back there in 2006, and a year older.
Yeah, we felt really good coming back. The expectations I think were extremely high, and I feel like our group we kind of fed into the expectations because we knew we had everybody back, and we kind of believed in some of the hype, and I think the work ethic, the things that made us good the year before, um, we didn't truly bring them back right away. We ended up finding our way later on in the season, but it was a lot of things that we had to go through that year. I think Alex was having back issues. Isaiah broke his foot or injured his foot, and it was just a lot of different things that you have to kind of move from one season to the next, regardless if you have the same roster.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the bigger things that I thought that as the season went on, we kind of started trying to find a rhythm, but it was tough. That year was tough because our expectations were to be back in the NCAA tournament, winning 3 or 4 games and going from there. But we made the best out of it. We lost early in the conference tournament, and then we got the NIT bid, and everybody was like, "Man, we got to go to Colorado for the first game NIT." And when we won that game in Colorado, we kind of started seeing the bigger picture. Like, let's get to Madison Square Garden,
Right.
And so we kind of bought in and got locked back in as a group.
Yeah, and I'd like to, highlight a game there. Nothing, here we talked about, 2005 season there battling with VCU. Well, to all the listeners out there, I mean, the CAA was a very competitive league, and nothing like there in 2005-06 season, starting off CAA with a home game against George Mason, and you just having just there from the top of the key, nailing that buzzer 3-pointer there to start CAA play there with a win against Mason.
Yeah, that was a real moment. You don't know what the season's going to unfold to be, but you look at it now and you see George Mason go on to the Final Four that year. We're in the Final Four at in NIT, but we worked on that play probably 15 times a week, I think. And it's one of those things where you just kind of never know when you will need a play like this. And we just kind of got like almost tired of it. Like, coach never gonna run this play. At this point, we all have been there for 3 years, 2 3 years.
Right.
We're never gonna run this play. And so the play initially was for like Isaiah to come off of a baseline screen, and then Alex to flash back up for the ball. George Mason, Coach Larinaga, those guys did a great job of taking the first 2 options out. And then the third option was myself coming back in full speed. And originally was to get to the basket and get a layup. But at that point, I had played enough basketball to realize it's hard to get a foul call that late in the game.
Right.
The best thing you can do is get a shot up. And so Tony Skinn, who's become a good friend in the coaching business with me now, we talk about it every once in a while. He was backpedaling a little bit too far, and once he got to below the 3-point line, I felt like I was in rhythm enough to be able to shoot it. So
right, yes, and every college basketball player wants to make it to the NCAAs, but if different things happen, just getting in the postseason and the tradition there in the NIT and making it to Madison Square Garden. Yes, you guys went up against a Power 5 school, but nothing like being a Final Four team there playing at the historic arena of MSG.
Yeah, we had some issues with the Big Ten, man, when I was there. we lost to Michigan State in the first round that 05 year. And they went to the Final Four. And then the following year, when we had the really good team, we played in the Paradise Jam. Yeah. And we beat Georgia, we beat Fordham, and then we played Wisconsin in the championship. And they beat us pretty good. And then we go to Madison the next year, and Michigan did a number on us as well. The one good thing about that final game in Madison Square Garden is we were able to see what our team was going to look like the following year. Because late in the game was kind of out of reach, and Coach Taylor and staff did a great job of kind of like, let's put the guys that'll be back next year in and see what it will look like, because the dynamics were getting ready to change for us with Alex and Isaiah leaving. Right. So me and Brandon Johnson played some more together. Dahi and Valdez played a lot, and Brian Henderson played a lot as well as LaDonde. So it was good for us to be able to see our group, what it would look like the following year. So that was a good dynamic for us.
Yeah, and then the next year, I mean, now your class are seniors, but a great freshman class of Frank Cassell, Gerald Lee, Marjorie Neely, and Carter, coming in there to add to the program, and another NCAA bid, and this one was an at-large bid.
Mm-hmm. That year was, I think, out of all of them, that was probably the most rewarding year because, I feel like at that point everybody had kind of counted us out. Like our time was over. Just lost like Alex, he lost Isaiah. So now, like, what was this team going to look like? What would the identity look like? And so that was, I sat with Coach Taylor for a while that year, early in the season, trying to figure out, my role would have to change a little bit. Um, I would need to score some more, be more aggressive on the offensive end. And so we didn't really know what to expect with it. And I feel like, we had a great start of the year. We lost to Clemson, a close game at home, but then we played at Georgetown. And then that was the turning point of the year where we went to Georgetown. They were number 8 in the country at the time, and we beat them. And
Right.
so you start feeling the momentum and start feeling the confidence in the group. So that part of the year I thought was big for us. But the second part, we had lost 2 in a row, and I remember the second part we lost to James Madison at James Madison, and we had a long bus ride back. It was snowing, so the bus was going slow. We actually had a team meeting on the back of the bus on the way back, and it was kind of like this: we can't go out like this. We're better than this. Let's make sure. Coming to practice on Monday, we're ready to work. We got to finish the season off strong. So we got better, but then we go to VCU and we lose at VCU.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like at this moment we can kind of go one or two ways. After that VCU game, we won like 12 straight.
Right.
We won like 12 straight, and between the 12 wins in a row and the win at Georgetown is the only 2 reasons I think we got into the NCAA tournament.
Right. Yes. Yes. And then, so your time at Old Dominion, named to the all defensive team CAA twice, second team as a senior, and finished top 10 in assists and top 5 in steals there for Monarch men's basketball, and then had an opportunity to play overseas.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I took away from that was they were looking for somebody with some winning intangibles, and coming out of high school, like I was a scorer. I mean, I averaged probably 25 points a game, and then when I got to ODU, we didn't need me to score. There wasn't a role for me to do that, and I've always been a person, in whatever sport it is, like, let's figure out a way to win the game, which is the most important part of it. I could care less what my role would be. Let me figure out a way to help our team win. And when I got there, one of the bigger things were we needed to not turn the ball over.
Right.
And so coach was like, let's not turn the ball over. Like, we got to get a shot every possession. And so I took pride into, making the right play, not turning the ball over, getting us a shot every time, getting us in the right offensive positioning. And then defensively, I was like, well, my goal is to be all defensive player every year. I want to be on all defensive team every year. And so that role ended up helping me get a job in Germany because I didn't average 15, 20 points. I only averaged 11 points my last year.
Right.
And the coach that I played for was that the quality that he liked about me the most was that we won 3 out of the 4 years I was there.
Right.
So that's it's value in being okay with the role and value in winning.
Right. Yeah, and then when you started building your coaching resume, your first stop is back at your alma mater there with being director of men's basketball there under Coach Taylor. How was that?
It was I look at it as a master's degree in coaching because I had talked to Coach the previous year. I came back for the summer and just stopped at ODU and worked out a little bit before I went back to Germany. And we sat down and talked, and he asked, did I still have any interest in coaching? I was like, yeah, I don't know how much longer I want to play, but coaching still is where I want to do when I finish playing. And the following year in Germany, we win the championship. We move up to a bigger league. I was trying to do some stuff with contract negotiations. I just got married.
Mhm.
So it was a lot of different things that were. Coach called, and I took an opportunity as a director of basketball operations when he called. And again, it was the best thing for me because when I got back, I was thinking just basketball.
Yeah.
And as the director of basketball operations, there's not a lot of basketball involved in it. You're trying to keep everybody organized, and you're doing all the things that are behind the scenes. So I was able to learn a lot. And as a player, you don't have an appreciation of all the things. The bus is always on time. Somebody has to get that bus there on time. Like the plane tickets are just in your email. Somebody gets those plane tickets for you. So those things I felt like was needed for me to be director of basketball operations, just so I can learn exactly how college athletics work in college basketball.
Yeah, yes, and then your next stop was right out 460 West. There with CIAA. There, you were at Virginia State there for 8 years.
Mm-hmm. So Lonnie Blow was the
Yeah.
assistant coach my first year back as the director of basketball operations, and we shared the same office.
Okay.
And so, like life lessons for myself going forward from that moment, you never know who's paying attention, right? So, like, I mean, we shared the same office. We talked basketball every single day, talked life every single day, and he was basically interviewing me the entire time we were working together. And he left a year earlier than I did, and so when I was getting ready to leave ODU, he reached out and was like, "Hey, listen, I don't want to interview anybody else. If you want this job, it's yours."
Right.
And so, I mean, I absolutely. I mean, I just had a 1-year-old. My son was 1 years old at the time, and me and my wife and my son moved up to Richmond, and not having a clue. I will say the first thing I saw when I got to Richmond was a VCU flag. I'm definitely not in Norfolk anymore.
Right.
So that was a pretty unique experience. But yeah, I got with Coach Blow, and we had a ton of success. Like, I mean, we the first year we finished like 18 and 17, and then from there on out, I mean, I think we finished up with like 6 conference titles, 3 conference tournament titles, and then we went to the tournament, I believe 5 out of the 8 years, if I'm not mistaken. So we had a ton of success.
Yes, and then July 2021, July 2021, you get the opportunity of where you are now with being on Coach May's staff there at Florida Atlantic. So how did that opportunity come to you?
So me and Coach May, is funny story. We knew a ton of people around each other that knew us, and we had never met before.
Okay.
And so he had an opportunity to come up on his staff, and he had quite a few guys that he really trusts in the business, like mention my name to him. And so we literally talked for probably 3 weeks. I guess not knowing the opportunity was going to be there.
Right.
And so he finally, after about 3 weeks of just kind of us getting to know each other, he asked, would I have interest in joining staff? Yeah. And me and the family were literally on vacation in the Bahamas, and Coach was like, well, since you're there, would you have any interest in flying back to Boca Raton and coming to visit campus? So myself and my family, we flew back and visited campus. Loved everything about it. Got to see the players, the staff, and meet everyone. And for me at the time, I felt like it was time for me to make a move. And just every other, I guess, step I had took at that point was a comfortable move where I knew the person on staff, I knew the area back in ODU. So this was just kind of completely out of my comfort zone. And I was like, I need to take this challenge and go see if I can be a really good coach somewhere else in another area. And so that's how the whole process started and how I ended here at Florida Atlantic.
Yeah. Yes, and similar to how when you came to Old Dominion, and the men's basketball there at Old Dominion was on the up and up. Well, here at Florida Atlantic in 21, 22, 19 and 15, 11 and 9 in conference, starting the home court advantage with a 10-game home winning streak, but then it all it all led here to this year being 35-4 and running all the way to the Final Four.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where we're finally able to sit back and really realize what happened.
Right.
Because you're in the moment and you just you want to move on to the next thing so fast that you don't have a chance to enjoy what you were actually doing. But just to get back to the previous year, um, you know, Coach May has done like a great job up until that point. Like every year he's been here,
Right.
it's been breaking records. Like it's another record year of wins. And so we felt this year, like coming into the year, we had like a group that could be really, really competitive in Conference USA. That we have a chance to win the league. If I'm not mistaken, I think they picked us fifth. And that was a little bit more motivation.
Right. Yeah.
But the team that the group that we have, I mean, they literally come to work every single day. Like when they walk in the gym, it's a business mentality, and they compete every single day at a high level, and it's almost to the point where it's like if you walked into one of our practices, you would think we were getting ready for the Elite Eight game. So it was exciting. I think that the best part about the entire journey was just being able to experience it with everyone, like our players, their families, the coaches, our families. We were all together for like a 3-week like journey on all in one, and it was just unbelievable. I mean, it's numerous of moments I can kind of go to and talk about how it will impact my life forever. But we really enjoyed it.
Yeah, real quick. I mean, I know with going Sweet 16, here you played at MSG, their NIT Final Four as a player. What was it like here having the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, not only in New York City, but back at Madison Square Garden? And this time here, you're an assistant coach,
Yeah.
there in the NCAAs.
It was. I mean, to say unreal, it would be like an understatement because we played in Columbus. So we played Columbus. We played FDU. I think there was a Saturday, maybe it was Sunday. We literally flew from Columbus to New York that Monday morning, and just kind of like we were able to just enjoy New York City for a day.
Okay.
We had practice that evening, and then Tuesday we kind of got right into Tennessee, and it just kind of walking in, doing shoot around, and just being able to the locker rooms, the media attention. It was surreal. I was actually able to take my son, who's starting to play basketball,
Okay.
on the AAU circuits now. He actually went with us to shoot around and was able to shoot in the guard and just kind of like trying to explain to him a little bit of like the history of where we were. And I mean, just being able to hear, like, I think the Tennessee game, we start making a comeback in the second half, and you kind of have, the Michigan State fans, everybody that was still in the building, like starting to cheer for FAU, in the NCAA tournament, the underdog, who everybody in the building is cheering for. So,
Right.
yeah, it was a surreal moment, and then being able to actually like cut down the nets, be on the stage, hold the trophy up. It's just stuff as basketball players and coaches that we all like dream of and would hope to be able to do one day, and was able to live out that dream.
Yeah, but like you were saying, starting out in Columbus, going to New York, and then after getting a spot, being regional champs, and going to the Final Four, you guys don't have time to go to go to Boca Raton. It's time to go straight to the Final Four. So there in the moment, I mean, yeah, it's exciting, but it's like everything fast pace, and with the logistics and everything, it's hard to enjoy what the team accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, we came back from Madison Square. I think we had 2 days before we left to go to Houston.
Okay.
It could be 2 or 3 days. I think, but I know I only slept in my bed for like 2 days in the month of March. I know that much. It's a good problem to have. I would do it again if that's the case. But I mean, we got back from New York, and I mean, we had like, I don't know how many people were at the arena when we got back, but it felt like the entire city of Boca, all the students, staff, they were waiting for us when we like pulled up, and it was hard to get off the bus, which is just, it gives you chills even thinking about it now. But I mean, we really had the entire city was buzzing, and they were behind us 100%. But yeah, we got back 2 days, and it was time to go to Houston.
Right. Yes, and then it's time to turn the page. Not only what normal, but this year is not only coming off the Final Four appearance, but also this year, July 1st, you guys went to a new conference. So a little bit different off season here. In the past, prepare for Conference USA teams. This year, you guys are looking at the conference teams there in the AAC during the offseason.
Yeah, I think the one positive about it is it's a new challenge, a new league, so you kind of can turn the page. And I think Coach May has done a great job this summer, just kind of trying to get our guys to understand, like, this is a new year. I mean, we have pretty much the entire team back, but we're starting from scratch, so to speak. So, we're 0-0, with a big target on our back coming into the season. So like every game, will be somebody's most important game to them.
Yeah.
So we have to be able to handle it. And, I talked about it earlier with our group from 05 to 06, like being able to handle the expectations and go into the year with a new mindset of saying, hey, listen, this is 0-0. We have to earn our respect again this year. And nobody's just going to lay over and lay down and let us beat them. So we have to prepare every single day. And, we try to do a great job here of just, being in the moment. Like, let's just have the best possible practice we can have today and not worry about, what may happen in November or December. Just worry about July 24th.
Yes. Well, hey, Drew, I'm sorry that we went over, but with watching you play at Old Dominion, and then Elizabeth and I, we had the family playing. So we brought two of our nephews there on my side, to just about every home game there during your ODU career. So definitely appreciate your time here coming on, and definitely appreciated Coach May coming on here a couple weeks ago.
Nope, not a problem at all. Make sure you tell Elizabeth I said hello.
Will do.
Tell Samantha I said hello, and tell the nephews the same.
Yes, because my nephews there, they had a poster when y'all were a senior. They got Versilius, they got Dahi, and we were missing number 10. And so we drove to William and Mary and followed you guys out to the bus, and were able to get you to sign that poster there before you hopped on the bus. So definitely, great career there, and have a great season there for Florida Atlantic come 23-24 season.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate you having me on for sure.
Sure thing. Well, hey, Monarch fans and Florida Atlantic and Virginia State fans, this was Drew Williamson on the show. Yes.